My next guest was born of most courageous parents. They gave him a drum kit when he was 5 years old and lived never to regret the day. Who would want to forget his early performances with the Gladiators and Zox and the Radar Boys? Well, he would for a start. So let's think of Genesis and welcome Phil Collins. Phil, it's been a very good year for you so far. Half a dozen awards, and now this. I mean, what more could a man ask? Have you actually run out of acceptance speeches?
I'm repeating them already, actually. I only had one, and that started off with my wife and involved my mother and the guys in the band, and I had to do that 3 times at the Grammys, so it's a bit embarrassing.
Now, at Live Aid, you broke all kinds of records by appearing on both sides of the Atlantic at the same time. Did you know what you were letting yourself in for?
Not really, no. I've been on tour on my own for about 3 or 4 months, you see, and my manager came to me and said, now, it is possible that if you play in London at a certain time and then you actually get Concorde and it's not delayed, and you actually get a good time to play in Philadelphia, you could play in 2 places at once, you know, or the same day. So I said, yeah, okay, yeah. So I went ahead and did it, and I was told that lots of other people would be doing it, you know, and I wouldn't be the only one doing it. So I get on Concorde, and apart from Cher, who sort of was quite a bit put out, actually, because she didn't know what the fuss was being made on. You know, she didn't know I was coming, and there was all these journalists floating about. So she quickly went into the bathroom, put a wig on. Came back sort of preened. And so I invited her to the show, because she wasn't actually going at all. But there was... she was just going back to New York. And then I went on stage and did my stuff, and the same songs, unfortunately, I did in this country. I only know 2 songs.
It's a bit different from the early touring days, and a rather different kind of transport then, wasn't it?
Every Saturday morning when we used to turn up to get our rental van, because we never owned a van in those days, we just rented it.
You needed something reliable.
Yes, very reliable, which we went to the totally the wrong place to get the reliable vans. We used to turn the corner, and we knew what kind of day we were going to have by looking at the number plate, because there were certain vans that always recurred. And CLP on the number plate meant disaster, you know. We knew we'd have to leave a few hours before we were supposed to leave, because we'd always break down, you know, and we used to play, I say, 7 nights a week, so it got pretty tiring. We actually played Aberystwyth University, which sticks out in my mind as being one we broke down 3 times on the way there, arrived too late to play because we'd been breaking down, and broke down 4 times on the way back. And then, you know, get to bed about 7:30 and wake up at 8:30 to go somewhere else. But I wouldn't have changed it. I mean, it's great fun.
What was a typical Genesis groupie?
Well, we never had girl fans in the early days.
Oh.
Not at all. No, they were all... No, they all seemed to have great coats and fishing hats, you know. And they'd all come with dozens of albums and sort of... Hello, Dave, feels great, you know. Which is great, because, I mean, to be honest, that was... Our music really wasn't the feminine music. I mean, it was mainly music for college guys.
Now, you started as a drummer with Genesis. Was it a shock when you came out from behind the kit and became the lead singer?
Yeah, I mean, I only got the job because no one else would do it, to be quite honest. So, I mean, we auditioned for months. And then we went on tour, or we started talking about going on tour, and I realised that we still didn't have a singer, and I couldn't sing from behind a drum kit, although I had done at school. So it was suggested, why don't we get a drummer? Which I thought was, you know, sacrilegious. But, yeah, we ended up getting a drummer. I said, I don't mind doing it as long as I can do it my way. You know, I don't want to wiggle me bum and things like that. Because I think the drummers... Because I've since learned how to wiggle my bum.
Well, that's true. Well, so it's in the light of what's happened since, it seems ludicrous that it took so long for you to reach that decision. You were a very successful child actor. I mean, how did you get the chance to do that?
Well, I was at grammar school, and my mother was, who still is actually, a theatrical, you know, for kids, Barbara Speake Stage School she works at, and she was getting involved with the agency side of it, and she just sent me along for the auditions along with the other kids, and not really thinking I'd get it. I mean, I just went along for the Artful Dodger in Oliver, part which required no acting ability on my part at all. So I got the job, and the grammar school headmaster said, well, good luck, but I can't let you do it for more than 3 months. So the potential you could do it was for 9 months, and so I actually left there and went to the stage school.
You were a model as well, weren't you?
Yes. These knitting patterns, they keep... I never lived this down. I'm to be found in catalogues, you know, mail order catalogues, modelling duffel coats and things like that. But,
still fits, though. It's very...
No, I did some of that. And voiceover for Junior Points of View and things like that.
Have you ever had what might be called a real job, then, Phil?
Only once, actually. I mean, I'm 35 and I've been playing drums like for 30 years almost, you know. And in that time, I've only ever had one job, proper job, and that was for 2 weeks. As I joined Genesis, the day I joined Genesis, they all went on holiday for 2 weeks. Because they said, right, we've got a drummer, now we'll have a holiday. And we'll start work when we come back. Well, there I was, you know, I didn't have any money. So my girlfriend at the time, her father was an exterior decorator. And I hated exterior decorating. I mean, even at home, just helping out. It was just, you know, painting around the windows and stuff. I used to hate it. But I did it because it was something to do.
Professionally?
Professionally for 2 weeks. And, of course, by the end of the 2 weeks, I was just slapping it. And I painted over all the locks and things like that. I didn't really give too much care about it. And after a few weeks, this guy got a phone call from the old couple that we'd painted the house. They wanted to get in the coal shed and couldn't because all that. But that was my one experience of a real job. You know, I feel very lucky to be able to make a living doing what I want to do.
I bet that door's on show now to their neighbours. Phil Collins painted that. But you're singer, composer, producer, and back to acting now. You've been doing some more.
Yeah, well, I stopped. I mean, acting for me when I was a teenager was really something to do until I was old enough to be in a band, to be honest. I never really wanted to be anything else other than a drummer. So, I had a couple of experiences towards the end of my acting stint that I kind of left a nasty taste in my mouth. But since then, I've got lots of offers. I've had lots of scripts sent, you know, because of the shows, the comedy stuff in the music, you know, in the concerts. People tend to think that I'm dying to do it, so they send me scripts. But I've shied away from it until Miami Vice people saw me in Los Angeles, and they said, we want you to be in the show, so just write a small cameo part for you as a game show host, because I used to introduce my band like a lounge lizard sort of game show host. And I got the script. I thought, great. I started turning over the pages. I'm on this one, right? I'm on that one. I was on 40-odd pages out of the 50-page script. You know, this wasn't a cameo part at all. This was a major thing. So I got cold feet, and I rang him up and said, you sure I'm not an actor, you know? I'm not an actor, I'm only a musician. He said, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. It's all very loose, you know. So I learnt my lines word by word, you know, line by line, went over to America, got to Miami Airport, and they said, here's your script. I said, no, I got my script. He said, no, we changed it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I'd spent all this time learning the thing, and they changed it. And I was saying, no, but I've learned it. Can't you do this one, you know? So in the end, I started over the period of the week and a half that I was doing it to get, you know, to do it their way, which is learning lines day by day, basically. And I had a great time.
You said a game show host. Was it based on anyone we know?
Well, not really. It was kind of Python-esque, I suppose. I mean, the actual... the thing is called Phil the Spiv. That was the episode. And I was basically someone that would do something for anything. You know, I'd try and make a living one way or the other. And I'd get involved in a drug deal without really knowing it. And my part is basically, I guess, a little like Dennis Waterman's Minder. You know, it was that kind of very cockney Spiv part.
A bit like the Artful Dodger,
A bit like the Artful Dodger, you see.
So it's full circle, isn't it, really?
But the funny thing was, they let me loose on the script because they obviously, they write as an American would write for an English person, you know. Yeah. Words like cashola, you know, which I would never say cashola. I'd say reddies or money or something. And, but they had some incredible things and that they let me get away with. I mean, I was actually told to say, you must take me for a right wanker. And I said, do you know what this means? You know, and they said, no, we don't know what it means. It's just, we've heard British people use that word. So I ended up saying this, you know, and they went on the air in America and everything, and no one said a bloody word. And at one of the ends of one of the bits, I said, under my breath, I was supposed to say bitch, you know, talking about this girl that had conned me out or something. And they said, oh, you can't say bitch. I couldn't believe it.
Yes, well, I don't know what that means. Anyway, very entertaining for the moment, Phil Collins. Thank you very much indeed. Back in a moment with Liza Minnelli.
Not surprisingly, it's also...
Welcome back. There was once a little girl who went before the cameras at the age of 3, but said later, I never had any thoughts of being a star. Well, she had to think again. Ladies and gentlemen, Liza Minnelli. Welcome back. Does the London Palladium seem like a second home to you?
Yes, it does, but it's still it's nerve-wracking to know that you're going to open there because it's so special. It's like the joke about Carnegie Hall. How do you get their practice? You know. So I'm fairly nervous, fellas.
Here now?
No, not now. I'm having a wonderful time watching the show.
That's the nice part about it. You can watch it, yeah. It's doing it. That's the strength.
You were terrific on Miami Vice.
Thank you.
You really were.
You've seen it?
Oh, yes.
Ah.
Yes,
and I've got it taped if you
really?
want to look at it.
Can I say, Liza, you're celebrating a significant birthday on stage within the next few days,
Oh, my
aren't you?
nerves, yes.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know. It's all changed so much. I'm going to be 40.
Usually gets a round of applause for some reason.
Yes, no, and it seems to me like 5 years ago it was deadly to be 40. But now it's kind of fashionable. I mean, like all the sex symbols seem to be 40, except you guys. I mean, you're in your own class there. But I mean, the ladies. I mean, thank God for Joan Collins and all that.
There was a quote I read that you say your voice has come of age.
Well, I really shouldn't have said that. I was just excited about the opening, I think. I should leave that for other people to say. But it just seems stronger. I think it was because I was always a dancer first. That was my first love. And I liked acting, and I couldn't sing very well. I just couldn't do it. You know, I wasn't born with the voice. I had to really work at it. And then when I got into it and started to really think about music and how much I liked it, it just kind of, it went along, it got better.
Has your voice ever protested at the beating it takes? You really work your voice?
Yes. I think it happened to me when I was on Broadway, because it's 8 shows a week. And especially, it happened in The Rink, which was a show I did with Cheetah Rivera. And your voice just it says, that's it, forget it. That's it, I've had it. You know, and you go to sing something, there's nothing there, because you are abusing it. Well, think of opera singers. They only sing, they never sing 2 nights in a row.
That's right. They do a dress rehearsal the day before, never on
Yes.
the day of a show. They have the rest of the day off. Yeah.
But the kind of touring that we've
the 8 shows
done.
a week.
Yeah.
So how do you look after your voice?
I don't do really anything. I can't sit here and say great things. I just, you know, cross my fingers and walk on stage, basically. But you do, you know, you look after, you warm up properly.
I don't believe girls' voices do break, do they? So has your voice never let you down since then, Phil?
No, Michael.
Oh.
It's actually let me down a few times. I mean, I don't warm up at all. I mean, I just have a couple of glasses of scotch and go on stage. And I go on stage and go, ah! and wonder why it goes, you know. I mean, I do 9 shows on the run and then have a night off. And then 8 on the run and have a night off. And occasionally have a couple of nights off, you know, farther on down the tour. But it does take its toll. I mean, the doctors in America tend to give you cortisone injections.
No, I'm scared of this.
Yeah, I know, but if you've got 16,000 people there and they've all in the auditorium,
Yes.
they're all sitting there waiting. I mean, I've only had to cancel a couple of
They
shows.
give me cortisones for a bad leg. What is this cortisone?
That's what you get it for. The commentators, Liza, are unanimous about your voice, but their descriptions differ about your appearance. Which description do you favour?
Always the one I like best. Somebody said she's very talented, but she reminds me of a canary on speed. That was wonderful. No, you know, I don't really think about it that much. It's not, I don't think it's the way you look so much as what's going on inside you. I have to think that way, Michael. I have all these rationalizations. No, I'm quite pleased with the way I look. With all the plastic surgery, I think it would have changed it. You know, you can do anything now. Well, I saw Phyllis Diller, who's an American comedian. Do you know who she is? And I swear to God, I thought it was Cheryl Ladd. The woman. That's a different nose. I mean, mind you, when she smiles, she has to cross her legs, but it's really miraculous what they can do.
That mole on the cheek is her navel, I know.
When they blow their nose from back here.
Well, that sorted Phyllis out. Now, you...
She does. She looks swell.
Good. Now, you You appeared as an infant, as we all know. What's your earliest memory of wanting to be a performer?
My earliest memory was when I was 15. Because I wanted to be an ice skater up until the time I was 15. And I really studied it and worked at it. I wanted to be in the Olympics, you know. And then I saw a show called Bye Bye Birdie. And I thought, well, that looks like more fun than what I was thinking about. And I wanted to be a gypsy. I wanted to be a Broadway dancer. That was my first thing. You know.
Were you unimpressed by what your parents did as a child?
Yes, I don't know if you've ever been on a movie set, but it's real boring. It's hurry up and wait.
And were your friends in the business, your childhood friends?
Oh, yeah, everybody else's parents were famous. You know, we're all alike. Mia Farrow and Candice Bergen.
And did you do school plays together? That sort of thing?
I can't remember. The only school play I really, besides the Diary of Anne Frank, when I was older, being in was I played Mary, as in Joseph and Mary. And I dropped the kid.
It's like a little boy I was told. He played the innkeeper, and they said, any room at the inn? He said, yeah, plenty, come in. Changed history. You're such a mixture of, I mean, Irish, Italian, and French as well as in there as well. Do you carry with you the mixture of all those temperaments as well?
You mean the temper?
Temper, yeah?
Yes, I have a strange temper. It's a Spitfire temper. No,
That way, he's good at danger.
Actually, I'm too much of a chicken to get mad at people. So what I do is I transfer it to things. I mean, this could drive me crazy. Yeah. I go where I want it to go. You know, and meanwhile, I'm mad at a person, but I'm taking it out on them.
Yes.
It goes away very quickly.
Telephones, do they drive you mad?
Yes, and coat hangers get me crazy because things fall off.
Yeah. What drives you mad, fellas?
Cushions sewn to the chair.
Yes.
It's awful to try and get serious now after all that. Your childhood, which I'm keeping on about, your mother, we know, was a woman who was highly strung. There must have been many traumatic moments for you as a kid.
There were, but there were also so many good times. It's not all one colors, you know, nothing is. But I think that people know more about the kind of glum stuff because that's what writers write about. They think it's dramatic and so forth. But my mother had a wonderful sense of humor, and so does my father. And I wouldn't have changed any of my childhood. I think the difference, I've met so many people who've had so much more of a horrendous childhood than I have, but their parents weren't in the public eye. So it's just that ours was made very public. I think that's the difference, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. The pressures of fame, of course, came close to overwhelming you too, didn't they?
I don't know whether it was that or what it was, but all I know is that 2 years ago, I was so tired and so sick, and I didn't know why. And I thought I had leukemia, I thought I had hypoglycemia, I got all these tests. I was sleeping all day and then trying to go to work at night, and then I'd be exhausted, I'd come home and sleep. And I found out that it was something called chemical dependency, which is a disease. And the greatest thing about it is you can fix it. You're not going to die. You'll be all right. This is something that if you take charge of, and you take back responsibility for your life, you can fix it.
So you're over that. Are you on any kind of artificial props now?
Oh, God, no. No.
Well, I got some.
No, thanks. I've been there.
Do you manage to get through on your own resources, fellas? What do you rely on then?
No, I think it's boredom is the main thing with drinking or doing anything. To
I
be
agree.
honest. It's just there's so much, like Liza was saying, there's so much hanging around. Even in what I do, I mean, there's 2 hours of really constant energy once you get on stage, but the whole day leads up to that moment, you know.
And after, it's so hard to come down.
Yeah.
You have to go out to dinner, you have to go out and drink, and it's still about 3 in the morning before you can really wind down enough to be able to get a good night's sleep, I find.
But that's just adrenaline and natural things going on
energy
within you,
after
yes.
a performance.
Yes.
What about the dangers of live performance? We've heard the saga of Wayne's trousers coming Sunday. I don't know if you've had anything similar. If you have, how do you recover from it on a live performance?
Well, you know, I was racking my brain at home trying to think of something clever and witty. And I couldn't think of anything that happened to me, but I saw something hilarious happen. Can I tell you about that?
Is it Phyllis Diller?
No. No, it's not. Well, it's not one of them. I went to the dress rehearsal and the opening night of Peter Pan in New York when they revived it on Broadway. And at the dress rehearsal, I saw Sandy Dennis, who's wonderful, you know, going back and forth. Sandy Duncan, excuse me, I didn't mean Dennis. And she was going back and forth on this wire. And I was talking to the choreographer who was sitting beside me. I was saying, it's going to be fine, it's fine. And I said, that's amazing how she just swings back and forth. Is there somebody at that side catching her and then, you know, spotting her? And he said, no. I said, what's at the sides? He said, walls. And, you know, she's got one eye. So this lady's gone flat. Back across. But she had this great smile on her face, and I thought, she's... Now, and everything went wrong that could possibly go wrong. The scenery didn't come in on time. But there's a saying that a bad, you know, rehearsal means a terrific opening night. So I'm sure, you know, at the last minute on Broadway, everything pulls together. It's just fine. Fine. So there I got dressed up, and I came back. I was sitting beside the choreographer again, who is a wonderful man called Ron Field, and the director. And and we were sitting there, and you know the point when Peter Pan takes the fairy dust and he sprinkles it on Wendy and then Peter and the dog and whatever. And so Sandy went, and now, would you like to fly? Think of wonderful things. And obviously, she was talking to the little boy. And he said, candy, this, that, and she said, no, something better. And he said, Christmas, smiles, da-da-da. And she went, yes, and the kid over here went up. But he went like this. Now, so she went, yes. Now he's hanging there, this kid. And so she quickly threw the dust on the other little boy, and the girl went up. And finally, the other kid went up. But what happened, because they'd been taken by surprise and they have this rigs on, these children are hanging. They're getting wound up. I'm going, oh my God. It's amazing.
After all that, dare I suggest, because we've agreed that you were going to do a live performance for us, are you still game?
Yes, I'm still game.
Thank you. Is that going to be in the repertoire at the Palladium?
Yes.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for a little preview, and thank you indeed for your company. Liza Minnelli.
Thank you for asking.
Phil Collins. Wayne Sleep. See you next week. Good night.